He's won the 2007 T20 World Cup. He's won the 2011 ODI World Cup. He's got 3 IPL titles to his name, not only as a player but also now as a coach. He's got 10,000 plus international runs across close to 250 international matches, 20 hundreds, and there's nothing that he hasn't done in this game. And he could also potentially be the next coach of the Indian team.
Now, before we get into that and before we get into the player, let's address a few things that's being talked about. We saw how Ponting declined or denied the fact that he might be the next Indian coach, but he did talk about how he might have been approached for the red ball format, which is a very interesting thing because the Indian team and the BCCI have never explored the idea of having different coaches across formats, especially the red ball and the white ball format. And this can possibly go two ways because there are countries out there who already do this. Australia and England have tried this. South Africa have tried this. One good thing is that the captains and the coaches can just focus on that format and they wouldn't go through mental fatigue. Being the captain and the coach year round can be tiring. And there have been coaches like Rahul Dravid who have spoken about it. He's taken breaks and VVS Lakshman has taken over a couple of times. So this has happened, but to have this permanently could be a good thing for them. One possible negative factor could be that different coaches and captains bring in different cultures and different team environments. So if there are common players between formats and across the red ball and the white ball format, it might take some time for them to get used to. And for a team like us, which haven't tried this at all, it might be a cultural shift altogether. So it might take some time for them to adapt. But if it works out great. But for now, I do not think personally that the Indian team will try to do this.
Now, one of the main assignments for the next coach of the Indian team is obviously going to be the Border Gavaskar Trophy. India have consistently won not just in India but also in Australia for the last couple of years. Now, addressing the title of this video, who we are talking about is Gautam Gambhir for the next coach of the Indian team. Now, of course, as we talked about earlier, being a coach of the Indian team is not something that's going to be easy. There's cricket all year around and there's a lot of pressure that comes with being the coach of the Indian team, and I feel like that's where someone like a Gautam Gambhir fits in very well into this role. Now, we can think of 3 main factors why someone like a Gautam Gambhir is the perfect head coach for the Indian team. And I think the first and most obvious point here is his attitude towards the game. We've seen it even on Ashwin's Kutti stories. We've seen it in various interviews, and of course we have seen it in the IPL 2024 where Gambhir helped KKR to yet another IPL title. He just has something about him when it comes to the winning attitude. He has the knack for getting the best out of players, and it's very visible in how he carries the team. Every player is valued equally, and I feel like by this he's able to get not only the best out of players but also the best possible results, especially for someone like the Indian team who have all the talent in the world, who have all the skill sets and are always just very close to winning a title but they end up falling short in the semi-final or final. I think Gambhir might be the perfect person to get them over that last hurdle.
Now, one of the unique factors about Gautam Gambhir being the Indian team coach is he will probably be the youngest head coach of the Indian team if he does. He's played alongside of Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli for a lot of years. He's played alongside of a lot of these guys in the IPL too. And so the fact that he can build a rapport and relationship with them straight away is a very, very good thing.
Hey, if you've watched this far, do let us know what you think about multi-format coaches. Do you think the Indian team should have multiple coaches? Let us know your comments below.
And because he's already a front runner for the head coach, I'm assuming he also has a good relationship with the BCCI too. And so this will only help. Having good relationships amongst players and making them feel safe as the head coach is something that Ravi Shastri has also talked about. It's one of the main things as a head coach regardless of which team you're a part of, and I feel like Gautam Gambhir would be able to do that. We've also seen that with Navdeep Saini as an example with the Delhi Ranji team, when Navdeep Saini was dropped off but Gautam Gambhir backed him and Navdeep Saini had the confidence to come back and had an amazing year in the Ranji format. So examples like these also show you how Gambhir can back up players and can build good relationships.
Now, the last point is obviously the fact that Gambhir has an excellent cricketing brain. He's also captained the Indian team a lot of times, and not only does he have an excellent cricketing brain, but he's also ready to take bold decisions that a lot of coaches, let's face it, have not been able to do for India. And he's also spoken multiple times about how he's very aware about how the media and just the board in general are very player centric instead of being team centric, and that's something that he's also emphasized on, where he wants to be more team centric rather than base things off of just one individual, because at the end of the day it is a team sport. And the perfect example of his good cricketing brain and bold decision making was just to send Sunil Narine in the opening spot. Now, obviously, it's something that he himself came up with in the early days of KKR. And to bring that back in this season, a lot of people would have definitely questioned it, but it paid off and it did wonders to the team's balance as well. And it is these kind of decisions that someone like an Indian team might need to take them across the line.
Now, this has been our video on why we think Gautam Gambhir is the coach that the Indian team need. Of course, a lot of people talking about the relationship between Gautam Gambhir and Virat Kohli and the power dynamics between these senior players, but I'm sure they are all sensible enough to come to a conclusion, to come to a compromise within their egos and feelings, because in the end, they all want to win matches for Indian team and they all want the Indian team to win a World Cup. Like, share and subscribe, all that good stuff. If you haven't already, check our links in the description below. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. We always put content almost every other day. So yeah, thank you so much for watching.